Hey. What happened? I was like backstage and legitimately the only thing I heard was just like yelling and stuff. Like, what is going on? Dude, what is this? I'm not going to eat that. That was terrible. All right, hey, how are you guys doing? You guys doing good? It's good to see you guys. I haven't seen you guys in a couple of weeks, and that's been kind of sad. But how many of you guys are enjoying school? Me! Okay, there's actually a lot more out there than I thought there would be, so that's good. That's good. Hey, can I tell you guys a story? Okay. All right, I'm going to tell you, this is, how do I phrase this? Let me think. Okay, one of the best conversations that I've ever had in my entire life took place in a bathroom. Now, I know what you guys are thinking. You're like, that is super weird. What happened? Okay, so I was with my fiance, Hannah. She's somewhere in the crowd. I can't see because the lights are blinding. But we were at the Iowa State Fair. Now, it was super fun, okay, but what I didn't tell Hannah as we were driving up there, I was like, man, I do not feel that good. Obviously, as we got closer, I told her, I was like, hey, like, I'm not feeling that great, whatever it is, like, my stomach was just rumbling, like, I was like, this is not good, right? You guys know that feeling before, where it's like in your stomach, you're like, man, there's something up, but I don't know what it is. So, my stomach was hurting, and we were getting closer and closer. Now, the Iowa State Fair, they always have, like, this variety of just, like, really awesome food, really weird food. Like, I think there was, like, when we went, there was, like, deep-fried Oreos or something like that, too. Yeah, I've never had one of those. I can't ever just bring myself to eat one of those things. But one of their new items that was there this year was like this, I forgot what it was called, but it was like this beef brisket. There was like cheese, peppers, onions, like more cheese. Like it was just covered, and it was just like this loaded like basket of like nachos, okay? Like these brisket nachos. They were so good. Now, I'm like, I got to the point where I like understood my stomach. I was like, all right, I'm going to throw up eventually, so I might as well enjoy something before I throw up, right? Like that's my process, right? So I ordered this nacho thing, and like they're pretty good size. I just eat the entire thing, okay? I eat the entire thing. Now, obviously it gets to the point where I'm like, ooh, that was a bad choice, right? So I go to the bathroom. I was like, hey, Hannah, I have to go to the bathroom. I will be back in like 7 minutes. Just give me a second. So I go into the bathroom, okay, and luckily there's an open stall, and I go over there, and I just literally just hurl this thing up. And I'm just throwing up, because I'm like, my stomach wasn't feeling good. And the weirdest thing happened to me. As I'm throwing up, okay, you know how like you have like those pauses in between throw-ups a little bit? Okay, well, apparently, obviously, because I'm like down by the toilet, so I can like see people's feet, and I saw this guy walk in, and I'm thinking to myself, like, great, like, my day couldn't get any better, just somebody walks in the bathroom, just hear somebody just yakking, right? So I'm down there, and all of a sudden, he's like, you okay, bro? And I'm like, yeah, I'm okay, how are you? Like, what do you say in that moment? You know what I'm saying? He's like, you want me to come in there and help? And I'm like, I was borderline. I was like, who is in the bathroom with me? I was about ready to call Hannah and be like, hey, you're going to have to do something really weird. No, but it was super weird. He's like, yeah, can I come over and help you? And I'm like, no, like, that's not going to happen. And so later on, as I'm just leaning down there, he's just literally just like, because I can see his toes just facing me, and they're not moving. Because, I figured this guy would, leave after I told him no. He's just literally just standing there. So I finished throwing up. Okay, and I walk out, and I'm just kind of like curiously like walking out, and he's like, oh, hey, how are you? And I'm like, bro, what do you want? Like, what is this? So I wash my hands, I clean up my face, stuff like that. He's like, dude, I just didn't know how to help you. I wanted to help you so bad. I just didn't know what to do. And I'm like, you did a great job. Like, there's not a whole lot of other things that you probably could have done, but I was like, you did a great job of what you did. I appreciate your concern. I appreciate how you wanted to like serve me in that aspect, and that was awesome. So anyway, that guy was actually a highly like valued volunteer at a church there in Iowa, and I had a really good conversation with him just about like what he does and where he serves at and stuff like that. And it was just super awesome to see but it all just took place in that bathroom. And it was just super weird, obviously, from the beginning of it, but at the end of it, it was actually really, really cool to meet like another believer, but also to somebody who loves advancing the kingdom as much as I do. So if you ever get into a spot where you're throwing up in a bathroom and a person asks you, can I help you? Just say no, because I don't know what's going to happen if you say yes. I'm just saying. But hey, listen, so this guy was willing to serve me to an extent that most people would not want to serve. Does that make sense? Like, how many of you guys would walk into a bathroom and be like, hey, there's a guy throwing up. I'm going to go help him. Yeah, nobody, exactly. So there's one hand. Okay, good. Praise God. You're on cleanup duty. Okay, but we see the same example of Jesus like relentlessly serving, and we see Jesus here continuing to serve no matter what the circumstances are, no matter what is happening. And if you guys have your Bible, you guys can go ahead and flip open to Luke chapter 8. Okay? Luke chapter 8. If you guys have your phone, you guys can flip there on your phone as well. We call that the e-Bible because it's electronic. But in Luke chapter 8, kind of varying in like verse 40, almost all the way to 56, we see a story here where Jesus receives news that a 12-year-old girl just died, okay, or is asleep, what Jesus calls her. And this person comes to Jesus. He like gets down at Jesus' feet and said, "Hey, like my daughter is dead. Like, can you come heal her? Can you come like revive her?" And Jesus was like, "Yeah, sure." And so Jesus starts following this guy, and there's crowds and crowds and crowds around Jesus. And so like Jesus and his disciples are trying to make his way through this crowd to get to in the town that is yonder, because, you know, back then you had to walk everywhere. You didn't have like a car where you could just hop in and just drive. So he's walking over there, and as he's walking over there, a woman in the crowd touches Jesus' cloak. How many of you guys have heard this story before? The bleeding woman, yeah. And so what does Jesus do? Jesus doesn't just like pass it off and just keep walking because he knows he has to go love and has to go serve this family. He takes that moment and he stops. He looks at the woman and says, "Hey, like your faith has made you well. Be free." And so what he does is like, if you guys look at that, he takes that moment and he's like, "Hey, I'm going to serve you guys no matter what, and I'm going to serve anybody who comes into my area or into my way because that's what matters." And he loved on that woman, and that woman is forever grateful for what Jesus did there. If you guys want to flip open, we're going to go to another one too. If you guys want to flip open to Matthew chapter 25. Also, if you guys want to look more into these stories, I encourage you guys to read these in your small groups. We honestly could spend like a whole message on a lot of these verses here. So if you go to Matthew 25, verses 31 through 46, there's a little chunk in here that really kind of describes about like what we're talking about tonight. And that's just like loving people and serving people because those both go hand in hand with each other. So if you guys look at verse 35, it says this. It says, Jesus is saying, "For I was hungry and you gave me something to eat. I was thirsty and you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger and you invited me in. I needed clothes and you clothed me. I was sick and you looked after me." That was kind of me in the bathroom. "I was in prison and you came to visit me." And we see here that Jesus didn't come to this earth, and you guys have probably heard this as well. Jesus didn't come to this earth to be served. He came to serve others. And if we, as believers and as Christ followers, are trying to be as close to Jesus' heart as we possibly can be, this is one aspect where we can all do our part and serve and love others. Now, serving and love others, like a lot of you guys, I don't know what you guys think about. When I first say the word serving, I want you guys to shout this out. When I first say the word serving, what do you guys think of? Okay, food. Okay, what else? Serving. Okay. Advice, helping, love. Who said surf and turf? Okay. How many of you guys have ever been on a mission trip before? Raise your hand. A missions trip. Ask your small group leader. Now, here's the thing. I love mission trips. I think they're amazing. I think that you guys should all go on one of these if you have the opportunity to go, whether that's just in your own city or that's out of the country or whatever that looks like. But when we serve and when we love others, as we've seen that Jesus has done, Jesus always doesn't do serving and loving others in a ginormous way, kind of like a mission trip. Because if you think about it, the same mission trip or the same mission that Jesus wants us to serve is also the same mission. Let me say this again. The same mission that Jesus wants us to serve the world is also the same mission that he wants us to take us in our place in the area that we live and go across the street to our neighbor. Does that make sense? That is the same mission there. So yes, going out of the country is great, and I've never been, but I've had a lot of friends who have done a lot of things outside of the country. They say it's amazing. It's definitely worth the trip. But also, on that same level is going out and serving your neighbor or serving your family or serving your friend and loving on them and loving on your neighbor, whether that's something small or whether that's something big as well. The one thing that I love about Jesus, I don't know if you guys have noticed this as you guys read the scriptures, is Jesus serves relentlessly. Okay? Now, relentless serving, it sounds kind of daunting in a way, but it's super, super vital for our life and for what we stand for. You can serve others with your words. You can serve others with your actions. You can serve others with your resources. You can serve others with your time, with your energy, with your effort, with your care. I cannot tell you guys how many times where you could do something where I've seen and personally have done something just so incredibly simple, whether that's just throwing a text message out, calling a buddy, asking how they're doing, and the weight of that impacted them far greater than anything else. Just those simple things that you can do on the weekly basis, whether it's hey, you see somebody at your lunch table or something like that, that's why we have those table talk cards for you guys to do that, so you guys can engage in conversations, you guys can serve, and you guys can love on your classmates and everything of that. So I would encourage you guys, just think about what relentless serving means to you guys in your world. One of my favorite pastors, his name is Rick Warren. If you guys ever get a chance, you guys can look him up. He says this. He says, "Faithful servants never retire. You can retire from your career, but you can never retire from serving God." And that is our whole goal tonight, is to love and to serve God, but also to love and to serve other people. And so this week, I want you guys to think about right now. We're going to take maybe 25 seconds right now to think about somebody in your life. You guys can close your eyes for this, or you cannot. It's totally up to you. I want you guys to think about somebody in your life that, one, maybe doesn't know Jesus. Maybe two, needs some encouragement throughout the week. And maybe three, just needs somebody to be there for them. I want you guys to think of somebody. Maybe that's in your school. Maybe that's in your family. Maybe that's your neighbor. Maybe they're 3 years older than you. Maybe they're 3 years younger than you. Think about somebody in your life that needs to be served and needs to be loved on well. One of my favorite guys to just watch his videos, his name is Inky Johnson. Some of you guys may have heard of him. Okay, he played football at the University of Tennessee. And he has this quote that I absolutely love, and I think it's the best thing ever. If you guys don't know about Inky Johnson, he basically came from legitimately nothing. And he got to a point in his life where he was about to go to the NFL and make it big and do very, very well in there. If you guys haven't seen him, or if you guys want to watch this story in a small group, you guys can type it up on YouTube. It's very, very compelling, and it's very, very awesome to see his love for God and how that kind of redirects his life. But the quote that he said, and that's really kind of stuck in my heart, is it says this. It says, "The truth is, everything counts. Everything. Everything we do and everything we say. Everything helps or hurts. Everything adds to or takes away from something or someone else." And so I encourage you guys this week. I know that this is can be a mediocre topic here, but honestly, loving on others is a really, really high priority in the kingdom. It's super, super high. And you guys don't understand, maybe some of you guys do, the blessings that can come from just loving on others. I've met here, man, I can think of so many stories just right now of just the amount of people that are extremely grateful that somebody loved on them. Life-changing love. Life-changing love. And it's amazing to see what they're doing now, and it's amazing to see who they are now and what they've become and what they believe in and how strong they are and how passionate they are about loving others because they've experienced that love, and the ones they took it, they grasped it, they ingrained it into their heart, they ingrained it into their bodies, and then guess what they did? They took some of it out and they gave it to somebody else. And then that process is going over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. It can just affect generations, it affects over decades, it affects everything. So I'd encourage you guys this week, whoever you're thinking about in your head during that time, or maybe you don't know who it is yet, and maybe that's your week's goal is to find that person. Find that person who needs love, find that person who needs to be served, and love on them and serve them. I'm going to pray, and then we're going to sing this last song, and then we're going to go into small groups. But I would encourage you guys, like I said, just be diligent in your love to others. Be diligent in your love to God, because the closer you guys get to God, the easier it is and the more rewarding it is to serve the kingdom and everybody else.